Back to day 2 of our key talent training. Today, or this morning, we will focus on the roles and responsibilities and the professional development, which we call support for our K12 pathway coordinators, our K14 TAPs, and for our LEAs who are hosting our K12 pathway coordinators. In addition, at about 11 o'clock, we will transition over to an interview of a panel of key talent who are currently in place and provide the foundation and structure for the statewide strong workforce program, as well as the economic and workforce development. So I think you'll find that to be very helpful. You put a name with a title, and I'm going to have them share a little bit about their role in the strong workforce. And this will be your first introduction to, in some cases, maybe not in all, of some of the key talent from the Chancellor's Office and the community colleges. So with that, next slide. Next slide, Melissa. Okay, so let's begin with the K14 TAP. These individuals are hired by the regional consortia and hosted there. In some cases, they are hosted at an LEA. That was a regional decision that everybody could make. They have developed a work plan to provide guidance for their work. Almost all the regions have submitted that to date. We still have a few stragglers. We still have some regions actually have not hired somebody as well. But let me begin with one of the first objectives is that they are going to provide leadership, guidance, and technical assistance to the region related to K12 Strong Workforce Program and the Career Technical Education Incentive Grants, which we know as CTEG. So the structure of the regional consortia is that there is a chair of the regional consortia. There's usually some support staff, clerical, administrative support. And then this is a new entity with the K12 Strong Workforce Program for the K12 system being implemented. Now there's another individual who will provide that leadership focusing on the K through 12 strong workforce system. So let's take a look at what some of those responsibilities will be. They are the liaison between the regional consortia and the K12 system and the CDE. They will participate in developing a regional strong workforce plan. So let me digress a moment. Each of the regional consortia have, and they're usually posted on their websites, a strong workforce plan that includes the overarching goals and objectives, the sectors that they will be focusing on, as well as the regional projects that they receive money for and how those projects are playing out within the region. So if you're not familiar with that, I would suggest you go to the regional consortia website. But this will be the voice for K through 12, our K12 TAPs. They will share and disseminate information to the K through 12 system. For instance, as some of the regional consortia are revisiting their regional work plan and have groups that are being convened, they will push out that information to include the K through 12 folks as appropriate. They also will have oversight on the selection committee for the K12 grants. And some of them did that at the last round, round 2. Many were not in place, so the regional consortia assumed that responsibility. They will not share it. They will not vote. They will just make sure that the wheels turn and our outcomes are reached, and we have appropriate mechanisms in play to ensure a fair and equitable reading and selection of those projects. They will also provide technical assistance for the K12 pathway coordinators. This will be one of their bosses, so to speak. They will provide the direction and the supervision for these folks and help shape what goes on in the region. As we look at the regions, and I know in LA, at one point, the project that I'll share tomorrow, and the challenge to outreach to the high schools, I thought, well, how hard can that be? Until I rolled up the list of high schools and saw over 300, and I went, oh my God, there's no way. And in many of our districts, we see similar situations, and if it's not a number, it's certainly a geographical challenge of those in the rural areas, far north areas, etc. So that's why the need for the K12 pathway coordinators working in concert with the K14 TAP is so essential. They also will provide technical assistance and oversight to work with individuals within their region in applying for the grants. They are not writing the grants. They will help folks with connecting them to resources, connecting them with individuals who can help support their efforts and learn more about the areas in which they might be wanting information to provide their own grant and resources then. So that's number one. Number two is to assume responsibility and support a regional needs assessment, the status of implementation of K12 career tech education programs and pathways, and develop and maintain a list of career technical education incentive grants and strong workforce program funded projects. And so they will be responsible then for knowing what exists within their region. And again, they will need to tap into the K12 pathway coordinators to assist with that inventory. They will make sure that there's an assessment and identification of the career pathways in place, not only of the courses that are in place, but those that link, because that's the pivotal point we're looking for, that link with the community college programs. They'll be cognizant of the articulation process, the dual enrollment, and certainly will identify successful and programs that can be replicated and others can learn from. You know, as I'm looking over some of my notes and refreshing my memory of what it takes to implement some of this, I think the overwhelming task that for many of you, it seems, is how can I do this all? And I think what I've learned is most of what I've learned from somebody else. And I've taken a little piece of one person's and a little piece of somebody else's, because that's what fit in my region, or that's what fit in my college, that's what fit in my project. And so I call it the eclectic model, a little this, a little that. And so some of you have asked, are you going to provide an assessment sheet that will help us to develop it? And yes, that's a possibility, but let me just sort of a rude awakening of why we lack sometimes formal documents that come out from either CDE or the Chancellor's office. I've asked those same questions myself in the past, and it took me a while to figure it out. But when an official agency pushes out a document, the steps for approval are so long, most of us have moved on by then. And so one of the things that we're finding, and I'll talk about it in a minute, is this community of practice where we can share amongst ourselves. That's legal, that works. And so will it come out? You'll be done with the project and done with the assessment before it would come out from the Chancellor's office. Not because we are unable to do that work, but it's just the bureaucratic policies in place. And so that's probably the biggest frustration for most of us, but some of us have learned to work around that system and to rely on information from others as well. Okay, so let's, next slide, please. Number 3, conduct professional development activities for the K12 pathway coordinators and other stakeholders in the region as appropriate within the region in response to the needs of the field. And you've heard me say earlier, when questions have been asked. Are we going to talk about Perkins? Are we going to do a deep dive on the applications for CTAG and strong workforce? Are we going to talk more about articulation and how we work with faculty? And the answer to all of that is yes. And some of that will be done regionally, and some of it will be done statewide. And in working with the K14 TAPs, who are a great group of individuals with great experience and knowledge, we will collaborate together and decide the best mechanism to push out this information. And that's part of what you're going to do in that last webinar. Give us feedback. What are your needs? Today, or yesterday, today, and tomorrow are onboarding. The information we're sharing with you has been compiled by a number of discussions. And some of you go, I already know that, and others it's new to. So we try to take the information at a level of teaching to those who knew the least. And that's usually the good pedagogy that we learned in any education class. You have to start with the basic information. And for some of you, this is just review, but hopefully it brings it up to the surface in your mind, and it helps you as you move forward on your implementing the projects that are ahead of you. So number 4, to promote partnerships between K12 business and industry within the region. And so to do that, you're going to want to pay attention to the interview today with the statewide and the regional business engagement directors. These are a great resource that we have in the state of California. The Chancellor's Office has made investment in hiring of these individuals who come from business and industry and have a great repertoire. These are the people who can help you develop advisory committees. They can help you put together work-based learning experiences, everything from guest speakers to field trips to formal work experience or even internships. When I talk about advisory committees, probably it's one topic that we should do a deep dive on, because ironically, during my career, as I took over different areas on our campus, especially in the area of CTE, and then looked at their list of advisory committee members. The convenience thing that most of us do is we engage our part-time faculty who also work in industry, and we call them industry. But I learned very quickly that they will just rubber stamp, especially if it involves their own course. They don't necessarily want to make changes. And so in providing leadership on our campus, I insisted that our advisory committee be comprised of only those people who did not have a vested interest. And I will tell you, when you do that, it's a very powerful experience. And when you ask them exactly what it is, the knowledge and skills that a student needs for entry-level employment, they're very honest and are very willing to share and help us, because in the end result, they're going to hire then our individuals who come to them. And then the 5th area is to ensure the collection of data, document that LEAs are meeting the K12 strong workforce metrics for each project funded with the K-12 strong workforce dollars, as well as the CTIG projects. And so on tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit about collecting the data. But the legislation, and I actually went back and read it again, it says that the K14 TAP is responsible for the data collection. Now again, that's an overwhelming responsibility for one individual, but that's why this individual needs a team of K12 pathway coordinators and needs all the LEAs who are the grantees to help facilitate that collection of data. Some of the data is already in the system, but somebody has to sort of pull the plug and make sure that it gets into the system if we're going to access it, and other data will be more of a survey form data that needs to be collected. So they'll play a very important role of helping to make sure that the data is pushed out in a timely manner and that folks are given adequate time and direction in order to collect that data. I think one of the challenges that I have seen in my career has been often we are unable to tell our story. And we can tell our story with the, you know, truly telling a story of a student, and those are often engaging, like I did about my grandson yesterday. But I think the real nuts and bolts of survival of programs is showing the numbers of students we serve. And most importantly, I think, is the return on our investment. And tomorrow, when I share the project that I've done in LA, what has secured additional funding, I believe, for this project has been numbers and the return on investment, to show that the amount of money that went in to this project, we more than that recouped it in FTSs for the colleges, which then, you know, went to their bottom line, their general fund of funding. So that's the K through 14 TAP. They each have a work plan, and they will be measured against that. We'll be talking about that in the evaluation piece and collective data tomorrow. But that gives them the scope. This is sort of the baseline. Many of them, because of regional needs, let me qualify, will go on and do things above and beyond these items. But this is the baseline of expectations that we have for them. So next slide. Thank you. So the K through K12 pathway coordinator. So we've had a lot of questions about the coordinator role, as some of you are hiring at different time frames. And so I put together really just an initial scope of work. There was a job description that went out. And one of the things I've been thinking about since yesterday, and I know Rachel with WestAd and Janine have put together a file of information where we can store things. And I'm gonna make sure that we have all those in there, because the scope of work and job description was actually developed some time ago. But using, again, education jargonese, it becomes, people read it and go, well, what does it mean to reach out to an area, or what does it mean to provide technical assistance? So I've tried to give you an initial bump or initial scope of work that the K12 pathway coordinators can begin to look at. And one of their areas of responsibility, of course, is the CTAG grants. And so they should be familiar with those grants within their region, who's leading them, what their focus is. And then I know recently they just did some collection of data, and Tara Nielsen will talk about that, the data that's collected on as a requirement for CTAG, and that will be tomorrow. But they need to make sure that that data was all collected. Another area is to work with a K12 Strong Workforce Program local grantees from year one, or round one, I should say. They should have a inventory of those grantees and become familiar with their projects. And as they learn about the projects, to keep in mind, excuse me a minute, to keep in mind that the strong workforce metrics of the 2 CTE classes that align with a community college program. And so if that's not what the focus was, they need to help those individuals align those programs and make plans to complete that activity as part of their funding. They need to help them to make sure that the data is collected for the year one outcomes. And we had anticipated that criteria would be available in May. It's now June 1st, right? But it will be out shortly. Some interim measures, as we're calling them, with a deadline for September 30th, 2020. There's been a lot of confusion about this data, and we hope tomorrow to clarify it. But I always begin with the end in mind. So by November 1st of this year, CDE is required to report to the legislature on the use of this money and the outcomes. So we're backing it up, and in order for that report to be compiled and ready for presentation, we put a September 30th deadline. So that's the deadline that you're seeing there. Okay, next slide. So number 3, they're going to work with the current round 2 grantees, those that were just recently awarded, again, to compile an inventory of their grants. The advantage with these are they're just starting up, they're just ramping up, and hopefully they're facilitating their own activities to achieve, again, the strong workforce metrics. That's what drives the outcomes. That's what we have to prepare for. And then again, the advantage this group has certainly is to understand the data that we're going to collect. It's a challenge when data to be collected comes out after a project has, you know, spent a year of implementing, but hopefully they'll be able to, this year 2 is at an advantage in that they'll see the data now so they can ensure that the collection is in place and will have certainly a much easier time. Okay, next slide. Okay, here we see again the collection of the needs assessment at the high schools related to career tech ed. One of the things you're going to hear today from Ray Lynn and Tara will be how to develop a local or your individual career ed plan. Sometimes I jokingly say what we've done is we have a buffet. We have a little of this and a little of that. And unfortunately, what happens then is it's often based on individual preferences or individual strengths. Districts need to have in place a clearly defined CTE plan for their district and then build on that, and the alignment then would be part of it with the community college. So part of the needs assessment would be to identify if there is a minimum of the 2 CTE classes in place in the same sector. And sometimes there may be 2 classes, but they're not in the same sector. And that doesn't do the student really any advantage. And the same way we have difficulty then with aligning it with or linking it then to the community college and ultimately reaching to either a certificate or Associate of Arts degrees. And what we found in the research is most of the high skill wages do require the certificate from the community college and or the associate degree programs. And that's what our goal is in aiming with the strong workforce programs. As part of that needs assessment, I know there will be a lot of areas of gaps of where folks don't have maybe linkages to the community college. Maybe they don't even have a relationship with the community college. And so that's now the need that can be addressed in round 3 applications. And I'm optimistic that there may not be as much money as we've had in the past, but I'm optimistic that there will be some money. And we certainly will know that before the month's end. So as the pathway coordinators establishing the relationships to position those districts, high school districts, to say this would be a good area for you to submit an application. Again, they are not writing the applications. It is not their responsibility. And I know there's been a lot of confusion with that in which folks thought, oh my goodness, I'm now going to write these applications. No, you're just going to help and provide technical assistance. And because of our geography, that may be on a one-on-one, it may be in a small group. If we're still Zooming, it's going to be through Zoom, whatever strategy that you can put in place to be successful. Okay, next slide. Labor market data. So what exists within your region? The K12 Pathway Coordinator should become familiar with what resources there are. Today, you're going to hear from a Center of Excellence, and they have been providing labor market data related to specific sectors for a number of years, funded through the Economic Workforce Development Program at the Chancellor's Office. And these individuals now are available to you through the regional consortium to access and provide data. There's a great deal of data that's available. They update their data on a regular basis. It's a statewide effort, so there are individuals who work within your region, and this resource will be available to help make sure that we're looking at jobs that are high skill, high wage, and there is a need within your region. And then not to undermine, but certainly as well to look at the different data sets that are available through your local economic development entities. They often do a forecast. I know in LA, I invite my people to attend those meetings because I think it helps give them an overview. I've sat through some of these sessions and the lights have gone on as to an area I should move into. And a good example is several years ago, the Board of Supervisors in LA County decided to fund biotech efforts. And I immediately went back to the college and said, hey, we need to ramp up in that area because there's going to be some monies available. And there were, and the college was able to develop a program. So I think this is our ability that we have to be a resource within our region and to share that information. Chamber of Commerce is another area I think that many of us take for granted. I represented a K-12 district once, sitting on our local Chamber of Commerce. And I was amazed at the resources available there and the commitment of business and industry to work with colleges. So what's in it for them? Employees. And that's how we continue to feed that pipeline of individuals who will go to work. So that's another area of tapping into if you've not done in the past. So these is just some areas of focus. And next slide, we'll talk about a work plan. So many of you have asked, and the LEAs have said, I didn't submit a work plan. Am I going to have to do a work plan? No, the LEA is not going to have to do the work plan. The K-12 Pathway Coordinator is going to develop their own work plan, and they're going to develop it to mirror the K14 TAP scope of work. So they're going to do it in concert with a K14 TAP within each region. So I indicated to you that each of the K14 TAPs have now a work plan that has been developed. And so the K12 Pathway Coordinator should sit with that individual, and together they should define the scope of work and they develop an actual work plan that is developed to support the work that the Pathway Coordinator will engage in the next year. It should reflect the regional needs as identified by the regional consortia, and this speaks to what sectors have been identified as those with the greatest need in each area. It should also support the regional consortia's strong workforce plan. So again, you need to have access to that plan and review it. What did they say they were going to do, and how are they doing it? What currently exists within, and where are the gaps? So a timeline we've said is July 1 for those of you who've been hired as of now, would be July 1, 2020, or 30 days after your hire date. And it's a soft deadline, but if we don't put a deadline, we're never going to get it. So try to honor that deadline. And this work plan will be used by us to evaluate your outcomes and your productivity. Doesn't replace of course, the data that we collect, but most importantly, certainly will include your scope of work and should show the individual needs within your region. Okay, next slide. Host LEAs. So your big challenge, and I know it's a challenge, especially at this time, these last few months to hire, but God bless you. Many of you have been so successful. I'm so impressed. But your role is to hire that K12 pathway coordinator according to your own hiring practices, and to serve then the LEAs in the community college service area. And many of you have said, what is a service area? Years ago, we actually had community college regions. And at that time, if you wanted to attend a community college outside of your region, you had to get permission. So the service area actually, the colleges will define those high schools that they work with, that they outreach. It's not a real clean area, and sometimes it's a little fuzzy, but we do the best we can, trying not to overlap in each other's area. So that's your first task. And then to provide an orientation regarding your policies and procedures. Because as an employee of your district, they need to know what your policies are. They need to know how to get reimbursed for mileage, for instance. They need to know, I think most importantly, is the philosophy and the mission within your institution. It's always interesting to have a conversation with folks and to ask them about the entity they work for. And when you get a blank stare, I say to myself, oops, I guess nobody bothered to spend the time to orientate them. So I think that's really important that you do them, help them to understand, and then to identify somebody that, who is their supervisor, who will provide the support for them to achieve their scope of work. Because they will need somebody that they can refer to help them to interpret sometimes, and to help them even to know where to go to look for the information that they're looking for. The legislation is clear, number 4, that you will evaluate their performance utilizing the work plan as a benchmark for performance. And then, of course, most importantly for all of you is to invoice the fiscal agent and submit financial reports as required. We know you need the money to pay them. Most of you don't have that kind of reserve, especially not in this day and age. So that's a very important thing I wanted to call out here. Okay, next slide. So let's talk a little bit about the support in the professional development. So one of the things that we're currently obviously participating in is the onboarding of key talent. And that's all the legislation called out for. But I added the team building. I believe one of the most critical items for success is building a team. And I sold my soul to convince the chancellor's office to allow us to go to Arrowhead. And then that didn't quite pan out, did it? But I want to talk about the team building because this is a team effort. None of us can do this alone. We're only as good as the people that we surround ourselves with, share information with. Remember what I said? I took a little of this, a little of that. You know, fortunately, I don't cook that way because God help us all. I'm not very good at that, but I'm very good at eclectic activities in which I have learned from other people and tried it out and found that it did work within my region. I am still hopeful that maybe within the next year we will have an opportunity to go to Lake Arrowhead and maybe to celebrate some of our successes and to report out some of the areas that we have been able to make a difference in some of the things that we have accomplished. But for now, it's on hold. But what do we have in place? We have a K14 TAP statewide community of practice, and that's all the K14 TAPs. We meet twice a month, once just the TAPs and myself and the West Ed staff. We also meet with the regional consortia, the other call on the month. Because again, remember, that's the anchor, that's the linkage, that's where the K14 TAP is an extension of, is that regional consortium. So we have that in place. It's a great group of people. We've had a lot of sharing, and I know a lot of sharing after we hang up, and folks email and share documents with each other, and that's very exciting to me to see that happen. Then within each region, the K14 TAP will lead regional calls and meetings based on the needs within each of these regions. And I put a note in there, italics, that will be your webinar 7 discussion. What are your needs? What are some of the things that you want to accomplish within your region? Where are the gaps? What more information do you need? And based on that, then we have a call already scheduled for June the 9th. We will review those ideas, and we will come to consensus whether it's a statewide training or if they're conducted regionally. So you can look forward to that. And then some of you have asked, will there be specialized training? And yes, there will be deep dives, more information on CTAG, strong workforce applications, Perkins, work experience, work-based learning strategies, articulation strategies, dual enrollment, strategies for transition, roles of the parents. That's a big challenge, I think. And actually, as part of my career, I initiated a program with one of our local school districts called I'm Going to College, and met with the parents on a regular basis. And it was humbling one day when the parents say to me, Lyla, you sound like it's so easy. Remember, we've never been to college. And it kind of stopped me in my tracks. And I said, yes, but I can teach you everything you need to know. And I did. The project is actually still in place after, 15 years. So very proud of that effort. And those students, we promised them a scholarship if they were college ready. And that was a big debate on our campus, in which folks said, you can't put the bar that high. And remember what I said about putting the bar high? Well, I argued and won, and we put the bar high, and you know what? Those students came to our college ready, did not need to remediate. So again, we all can learn, we learn in our own way, but most importantly, we have to set that bar at an appropriate level. And then the transitioning. I think the biggest challenge that folks often have is moving students from the high school to the college. And even though we do dual enrollment, it's still not the same. And we have to recognize that. This deep dive, in my mind, would be a great co-presenter between the student outreach folks at the community college as well as the high schools, and working with parents and even students. I referred to the dual enrollment program that we offered several years ago at Rio Hondo, and we did a lot of work with the transitioning of those students, and orientation, tours, visits, trying to make them as comfortable as we could, and then that ongoing support to ensure that those students would be successful within our programs. Okay, let me just pause for a moment. I know there's a poll that's been put up, and let's see. Melissa, do you want to unmute yourself? I think.
Which poll are we looking at to put up right
now? Was there a poll that was put up by Ray Lynn that she wanted?
That'll be in the next one.
Okay.
The next webinar. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't want to over.
Yeah, thanks for checking.
So let me go in. I've got a few more minutes. Let me talk about transitions. Somebody's asked the question about guided pathways. And AB 705, yes, certainly the community colleges have a program called Guided Pathways. I tell them that we're the most important leg on their stool, the career tech ed piece. But yes, the colleges are working with these individuals and the strategies that are placed at each of the community college. And that will be part of the individual orientation and individual training that that we will have. Let me see if there are some other questions in the chat.
Lyla, this is Rachel.
Hi.
Hi, I've been collecting some questions. If you'd like me to, from kind of earlier on in the session.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, let me go back a bit. So we had a question about, can you clarify and the rationale of the K12 strong workforce having a pathway coordinator and the CTIG funding does not? How does the responsibilities differ?
The responsibilities of the K12 pathway coordinator now includes the CTIG. That's what was written in the legislation. I don't make the rules, I just play by them.
And there's a question about if the assessment will be the same one we use for CTIG as the strong workforce.
The assessment for the needs in the region, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm assuming this is from Cynthia.
So the assessment that needs to be conducted within the region includes all career ed, not just strong workforce, but all the career ed. And I think that'll be clear after the presentation this afternoon about what does a CTE plan, region or district plan look like.
Right, okay. There's some other questions about data that we might be able to delay a bit. But there is a question about the additional work plan. Was that required for the application?
There was no work plan that was required for the application for the K12 Strong Workforce LEAs. You submitted, you answered questions, you submitted an application. The work plan will be developed by the K12 pathway coordinators themselves in concert with the K14 TAP.
Okay. There's another question about if they haven't hired their TAP, did they wait until they're hired to do the plan, or did they develop it absent that person?
So the regional consortia have assured me that that they are on top of it. So if there is no TAP in place, then the point of contact is a regional consortia chair.
Okay, so they can work with their regional consortia chair on that plan? Yes. Okay. I think you addressed the one about the guided pathways. There's some questions about Lake Arrowhead that I can forward to you about the other suggestions or approaches. And then we have, the one about, is the data for the region as a whole, not micro regions where the pathway coordinators are located? As far as the TAPS data? The data that will be collected will be for individual LEAs, and then will feed up into the regional data, and the region being described as that boundary of the regional consortium. Okay. One question about is, and I'm assuming that this is referring to the support that we're providing today, the TAPS and the pathway coordinators, but the question is it for all public, private, and charter high schools in the community college service area? Not private. Not private schools. Right. Public and charter. Yes. Okay. I think that's all the questions I'm seeing. If folks have one that I haven't addressed that they need, that they feel is urgent, if you can unmute yourself. Great. I think we've addressed most of them. I'll send them on to you, okay. Lyla. Okay, great.
So somebody else said public and charter that are receiving, I missed it.
It says public and charter that are receiving funding, CTIG or strong workforce. So meaning is the support that's offered for CTIG, anyone that's receiving CTIG and strong workforce, or anyone, period?
No, it's just for those that are receiving, it's just those individuals or those high school districts that are receiving the CTAG and the strong workforce funds. Our public schools usually do not receive our categorical funds. Now, I don't know, there may be some exception, but the focus of the legislation is on our public school system and those that are receiving the CTAG and the strong workforce funds, unless somebody knows something I don't know. I can try to ask Michelle that question.
Okay.
And answer it later today or tomorrow.
There's a question about the comprehensive local needs assessment that's required by Perkins.
By Perkins?
Yes, and the question is, should Perkins, CTIG, and strong workforce dollars be leveraged as well as using the community local needs assessment to guide all three along with the regional consortia plan, right? So, so we're trying to group these things together.
So
correct.
If I were doing a needs assessment and went out to my local school district, I would ask them, so how does CTE fit in your instructional mission and goal? What's your agenda? What's your plan? What do you currently offer? And what funding do you have in place to do that? Now, they get the same basic funding as everyone else gets. And here's the tricky part. And as serving as a school board member, I became unpopular when I uncovered this. Those funds are not meant to supplant. Those funds are meant on top and above the regular funding that a school district has. So the question to be asked is, how are they funded? And they need equipment, they need extra supplies above and beyond what our academic courses need. That's what the program is all about. So when you look at doing an assessment, the question that you have to ask, it has to begin with, what is your overarching mission and goal for career tech ed in your district? And then what pockets do you have to help support that? What funding?
Right. I think there's a question here, Lyla, I'm reading a few of these that I think there's a little confusion because some folks haven't seen the measures that we're going to be talking more in depth tomorrow about. But I think maybe clarifying that we're talking about a work plan that's for the TAPS and pathway coordinators that is not the work plan in the K12 strong workforce application. These are two different kind of.
Yes.
So right. I think there's a little bit of confusion that the work plan is not that we're describing or just discussing for the people, the key talent is not the same or even in direct alignment per se with the work plans for the LEAs that submitted applications. Right.
Totally different. We're talking about key talent, individuals, work plans, their scope of work, their job description, something they can take and check off. Yes, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And in the work plan, we list what outcomes we want to achieve, and we list a timeline. When are you going to do it? First 6 months, the first 3 months, the first month? So it's very different.
Right. So sorry, go ahead, Lyla.
Well, I just was going to comment that, are they going to provide some technical assistance to individuals who received the grants as part of another whole application process? Yes, that's part of the list of the activities that they will complete.
Right. And there is some question, and there definitely is alignment between the LEA outcomes and work and the work that the key talent is doing, but they're different kind of measures. So yes, there's alignment. I would say that's how we've intended to position them, right, Lyla?
Yes.
But they're not. So the work plan that's submitted to the strong workforce applications is in alignment with the work that the key talent is doing, but it's a difference between an individual person doing the work and kind of the scope that supports that work and
Yes.
the individual LEAs measures.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's, you know, as we're having this conversation, it's clear that you have not seen the same thing that Rachel and I have, some of the others have seen. So you have to, you know, it kind of all comes in place at the end when you then have all these pieces to the puzzle, hopefully, and it then makes sense to you.
Right. And there is, I think we need to go a little bit deeper, Lyla, on this question about who the pathway coordinators can provide service and support to. The question is it only the districts and LEAs that are receiving CTIG, strong workforce, and Perkins, just so that we're being clear about where the support is?
So in the job description or in the legislation, I think the overarching goal was to provide to all districts, whether they have received funding up to now or not. And I think what's really important that we recognize is sometimes we don't know what we don't know. They don't know this opportunity is available to them. And so by you introducing yourself and describing the work that's going on in the state to promote career tech, then those folks can be brought in and are good candidates to apply for some additional funding, whether they qualify for Perkins or not. I know in the community colleges, we have some that are very, very small pots of money, and so it appears that they're not as actively engaged. But the reality is that everybody needs to be engaged in career tech ed. But certainly your primary focus would be to start with the ones who already have the funds and then branch out to the others. And I would ask the question, why are you not involved? Why have you not been involved? What would it take to engage you to offer career tech ed? And that's part of your needs assessment.
Absolutely. Okay. I think we've got them all. Are there any other questions that are surfacing? Stephanie shared a resource. Thank you, Stephanie, about the scope of work for the pathway coordinators. Luann made a really excellent suggestion about leveraging the key talent that have particular expertise to serve as a resource for other areas or in the region, like CTIG or dual enrollment. Yes. Just because I know we have a lot of deep expertise on the call in particular areas. So that's a great suggestion that we could add to the support.
Okay, let's move on. The next slide. Next slide. So this is the part of the panel discussion that I wanted to have and to share with you and to hear directly from them, these individuals who are part of the key talent supporting the work of the Strong Workforce Program and Career Technical Ed from within, you know, each of the regions, as Sandra described them yesterday, up and down the state of California. So one of the longtime members that I've known for a long time, Julie, is the chair of the Imperial Valley and the Desert Region Consortium. And Julie is hosted by Riverside Community College. And Julie and I worked together when I wore a hat here in LA Orange County, and it's continued on in that role. So I asked her if she would be willing to be interviewed, and I think she's on. I hope she's on. Julie, are you there?
I am.
Bless you. Thank you so much. And by the way, these people aren't being paid to be here today, guys. It's out of the goodness of their hearts. So I first want to say I'm very appreciative and thank you so much. So Julie, if you could share, what role does a regional consortia play related to strong workforce programs?
So first, let me correct. We're known as the Empire. We just like the Empire, but we're actually the Inland Empire. So
sorry,
I think the Imperial Empire is much more appropriate. It sounds kind of, you know, like Star Wars kind of.
Yeah, I was trying to jazz it up a bit.
Yeah. So, but we're the Inland Empire, and so regional consortia for strong workforce. Regional consortia across the state, we are the conveners, and we establish a regional plan for strong workforce that applies to both the Community College Strong Workforce Fund and the K12 Strong Workforce Fund. So we're organized around priority sectors, and I have a document I can share with Lyla, she can forward it to you, that shows all of the regional consortia, who the chairs are, and what our priority sectors are. Additionally, it'll kind of summarize what our strong workforce overall, very broad goals and objectives are. It's a 4-page document, and there's 7 regional consortia. So it's not comprehensive. But we're the planners and conveners. So we provide the leadership, the governance, and oversee that over the strong workforce funds.
So because many people don't know, and I didn't say I was going to ask, oh, I guess I did tell you, who are your members? So
that's a good question. I asked our key talent on a call this morning, you know, who do they consider our members? Because we're not a formal membership organization, so there's no application to become a member of the consortia. Certainly the consortia are comprised of all the community colleges in the region, and primarily those who are in, who attends and is engaged with the consortia tend to be primarily administrators, managers, directors who have some role in economic and workforce development. So they're either career technical education deans, they could be strong workforce program managers, CTE faculty, our contract ed, economic development administrators, managers, directors, and then our workforce development boards are members of the consortia, and so some regions that's a little bit easier to they're a little bit easier to engage than in others. We're fortunate in our region, we only have 2 workforce development boards. But when we say our workforce development boards, we're talking about the folks who are working in workforce development at the county level or the workforce development board level. Not necessarily the board members themselves, but the program managers that support the workforce development boards. Then we have our K12 partners, which includes our ROPs, our K12, our adult ed consortia are also members. And in each region, each community college district, so for the K12 pathway coordinators, you represent a community college district. That's your service area as a community college district. The adult ed consortia have a similar geographic makeup. So there are approximately 72 or so adult ed consortia throughout the state. So they are also members of our consortia. And then and then just very, like we have community-based organizations. The other members of the consortia, it's a organization by it's an organization of the willing. That's how I like to describe it. That want to engage in this work to support workforce.
So how have you integrated K-12 strong workforce into the regional structure of the regional consortia in your area?
I think we've all integrated K-12 strong workforce into our regional governance structure through the development of our K-12 strong workforce or selection committees. So each regional consortia was required through the legislation to establish a selection committee. And the selection committee for strong workforce has decision-making power over who receives funding from the regional funds and who does not. And the legislation further delineated who those, what the makeup of those committees should be. So it didn't say, like in our region, we have a target makeup, like we want 5 members from this category, 2 members from that category, as a desired equitable makeup. The legislation didn't delineate down to how many members from each group, but they did say these are the categories of individuals who should make up your K-12 selection committee. And they have decision-making power over the Strong Workforce Fund. They review all applications, they score them, and then at the end of that, they have sole responsibility for allocating those dollars to projects that meet the minimum score. So that's one of our governance structures. And so they're very well integrated into the region, in all of the regions.
So what would a typical meeting, your convening or your meetings look like in your region?
So I can speak to our region, and regions are different. We're in the inland desert. We're a large geographic region, but we're not the largest geographic region, but we're large. We have probably about 8 of our colleges are concentrated in a close geographic area. And then we have community colleges that might be 3 hours from that center. And, the central region is in the north, far north, they're very large. So I'll speak to how we convene. Before COVID, we convened quarterly. We have face-to-face meetings, and I would share with you that before K-12 Strong Workforce, our membership meetings, our quarterly meetings were about 80 people. And while we always have had our K-12 partners, primarily ROP, attend our meetings for years, when K-12 Strong Workforce came into being, we doubled our attendance at our regional meetings. So I would say now we're about 150 people attend our quarterly meetings, and about half of those are from our K-12 partners. And then we have different professional development that we offer throughout the year. We do regional advisory meetings for CT faculty that are discipline specific. We convene communities of practice among CTE faculty in a particular discipline, especially now with COVID. We're doing a lot of that regionally. We have a variety of other meetings, but our primary meetings are 4 times a year. And I can't say it's all the same in every region. Like I know some regions in LA Orange, they meet monthly. So it really depends on the meeting. The region and how they convene. Some regions may do all of their meetings in a virtual format. Others may have meetings 2 or 3 times a year. When they're all together at a particular conference or an annual meeting. So it really depends on the region and how they convene those groups. But we all convene our stakeholders in one way or another regularly.
And a typical agenda would look like what?
So we usually present some kind of labor market data at our meetings because our members have come to expect that, and they like to know what's going on in the labor market and how that relates to the programs that they're all involved in. And then we'll have a topic of, kind of a brief professional development topic, a topic of interest. Like our last meeting we had or one of our previous meetings, we had a panel to talk about equity issues. And so it's just a topical issue. And then we have breakout sessions, and those sessions in our region are typically around our priority sectors, so that people have an option and they can get information. They can go a little bit deeper into a sector and what's going on in that particular sector.
So the last question I have for you, if you would be so kind as to speak about the sectors and the individuals who lead those. I know you've utilized their expertise a lot.
Yeah.
Can you share a little more?
So in each region, we've identified priority sectors, and we have regional directors of employer engagement who represent that sector in the region. And they're kind of the boots on the ground kind of expert, and they're connecting with business and industry in our region. 96% of our businesses in our region have 50 or fewer employees. So I mean, they're certainly not connecting with every employer, but they're connecting with larger employers and smaller employers where it makes sense within their sectors. They then bring information from employers. They're kind of the linkage between the employers and the colleges. So, of course, our K12 partners are always invited to that, but their work has primarily been around helping colleges retool or start new, or be more responsive to what's the changing needs in that particular industry sector are. So every region has a different set of industry sectors that are a priority, and each region has a group of regional directors who represent that sector within the region.
Okay, great. Thank you again, Julie. I appreciate
My pleasure.
your time. So moving on, I wanted to introduce one of our statewide directors for business engagement. Next slide. Oh, the other way. Oh, too far. Terri, thanks. And I saw Terri come on, so welcome Terri. Terri's a statewide director for life science and biotechnology. Terri is hosted at San Diego American College. And I'm gonna ask Terri a few questions. I'll probably go off script like I did with Julie, but these folks are great and I know they can share some good information for you. So Terri, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Lyla.
You are.
Hi, everyone.
Please describe your sector and the related occupations where students can obtain jobs.
Okay, I'd love to. Would it be possible for me to share my screen?
Melissa.
Sure, you could share your screen. I think, do you have a share button on the bottom?
I do.
I believe everyone has permission, or the speakers.
Okay, you cannot start. Okay, so you have to unshare your screen.
Okay, I'll go ahead and stop share.
Okay. Okay, and I'll put this into, okay, I thought this might help with some of the questions. Okay. All right, so what is biotechnology or biotech? People really think of it mostly as biotherapeutics or pharmaceutical, but it's really a lot broader than that. It's actually quite a diverse group of industries. And what all those industries have in common is that they use cellular and biomolecular processes to develop either technologies or products or services. And so there's a variety of different products or services that either combat disease, which is probably what most of you are familiar with, but also they reduce our environmental footprint. So, cleaning up environmental spills and such, to grow foods, genetic modifications, which, people are on both sides of the fence about, but that it really does improve our food source. It helped, the technology is used to lower our energy usage and to take us to cleaner energy. And it also helps us to produce safer and cleaner, more efficient industrial manufacturing processes. So, and just to give you kind of an idea of some of the examples of our industries, of course, the medical, which includes therapeutics, and that includes pharmaceutical, which tends to be more molecular-based compounds, but they have to work very closely with biologists and the life scientists because they're creating molecules for our bodies. Also biotechnology companies, which use more of our own biology to create different substances to fight against diseases and protect us. Also medical devices, the medical device industry. And then there's agricultural biotechnology, which handles a lot of our food source and improves our ability to grow good foods for us. There's, of course, fermentation, which not only what we're all very familiar with in foods and beverage, beer and wine, but also industrial fermentation. There's food technology. A lot of you are hearing about all the plant-based food that's hitting the markets now and really trending for meat substitutes and dairy substitutes. Biodegradable plastics, biofuels, bioremediation. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of different industries that are all grouped together under the life sciences.
Great, thank you, Terri. And second question is, how do you support the Strong Workforce Program at a state level? Because your role is actually at a state to serve the state. So how do you describe that role that you play?
Sure. So at a state level, of course, I have a sector team, which is made up of all of the regional directors, and we're small. Our major hubs in the state of California are in San Diego and the Bay Area, but also Los Angeles and Orange County are really thriving, and they have overgrown the San Diego hub, and so we also are working in those regions as well. So the team is made up of the directors from each of our regions, and we strategize for our sector. What are the needs of our sector? And that comes from industry engagement, and that comes from also working closely with faculty. I have weekly meetings, Zoom virtual conference calls statewide with all the faculty, and we talk regularly about what are their needs, and covers everything from, recently it's been all the online teaching and online platforms and online resources in getting transition, but it covers everything, curriculum, it covers professional development and such. So we're getting input from both sides, from the faculty who are the feet on the ground, working directly with the students in the programs, and from industry. And as a team, we come up with our sector strategy, and then each of the regional directors takes that back to their regions, and we design their proposals for projects for strong workforce funding that are going to be tailored to the colleges in each of those regions.
Great. Can you describe a project your sector has participated in that has supported the development of a program at the college level?
Yes, absolutely. Let's see. Whoops, I think oh, okay, yeah. So we started in 2014 with our first report. It's a statewide middle skills report for the life sciences and biotech. And at that time, looking in the Los Angeles area, it's not just the Los Angeles region, but just in the middle part of the state. Back in 2014, we had 4 programs, 4 colleges that had biotech programs. And it wasn't all in Los Angeles County. There was actually 2 in the Los Angeles region, and then 2 of them in the South Central Coast region. And so we've published 2 reports so far. We're working on our 3rd one to update the 2017 report. But this report was a big project, and I know John Carrese is going to come up soon, and he was a big part of this project. And basically, this project was the first report of its kind that really drilled in. As I showed you, there's quite a range of industries within life sciences. And this project, and this was before my time, they really drilled into what are the middle skills jobs, and what are those areas where we're looking, because otherwise the industry is broad and ranges everything from middle skills all the way up to PhD and beyond. So we really drilled into the relevant data, and that hadn't been done before with us. And so, because we're a very specific slice of it. And that information, so we got 2 parts of it. We got information on the supply. So we got the college information as far as the programs and the awards, the certificates. And, you know, in our sector, there's quite a bit of skills builder. People will come in and take 1 class, and they'll get the skills they need and go back to work or go to work. So not everybody walks away with a degree or a certificate, but we tracked all of that. We tracked all of our programs. We got a complete inventory in the state. And then we also looked at the demand from Burning Glass and EMSI data. So those are the job postings. And so we really identified where the jobs were and where the gaps were on a statewide level and also on a regional level. So because of that report, this is what the center of the state looks like now. We have 22 programs. We grew from 4 programs in 2014 to 22 programs in that area right now. We lost 1 program, and that was Ventura College, but we have 16 programs in the LA region, and we have 4 programs in the Orange County region, and also 2 programs that are in the South Central Coast region. And that's all because of our report, because it showed the demand, it showed where the demand was, it showed where the need was. And also by tying all the faculty together in these weekly calls, they work together, they collaborate, and they build their programs around each other so that they're complementary. And so it's been a really great ecosystem that's developed in that part of the state, and it's because of our 2014 and 2017 reports. And like I said, we're working on the new one now. Great.
Anything else you want to share?
I think that's all for right now. We're really excited that it's growing. We're small compared to some of the other sectors, but what I would like to share is the life sciences biotech sector in California. We're the largest in the world. We're the largest in the country and the largest in the world. So even if we're small compared to the other sectors, we're a very important sector in the state, and it's a big part of our economy.
Terry, there was a question in the chat box. Somebody asked, is this faculty community of practice, would it be open to K through 12 faculty?
As a matter of fact, it would be. We allow, it's growing, and it started out just with the community college faculty, but they've been bringing in their high school partners. So yes, the K through 12 faculty are welcome as well, because it's a really good conversation to have. And I think maybe if it grows, it might grow into 2 different meetings, depending, but yes, I get the short answer is yes, the K through 12 faculty are also welcome.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the question. That was whoever posted it. I appreciate that. That was a good question. Okay, Terry, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Have a good day.
You're welcome.
Next, Katie. I saw Katie come in. Hello, Katie. Next slide. So we have the now at a regional level doing the work in sector work for business engagement, we have Katie Mishler from Advanced Transportation Logistics, LA, and she's hosted at Cerritos College. I just have to do a shout out for Katie, who has worked for a long time with the Career Pathway Specialist Project in LA County. And that's where I've gotten to know her well, and some of the great work that she's doing, not only in advanced transportation, but certainly that outreach into K through 12. And some of you may have even attended some of her activities. So Katie, can you describe your sector and the typical occupations that it would include?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, Lyla, for having me. So advanced transportation and logistics is kind of a little bit of a new iteration. We've been many things over the years. It seems every 5 years or so, we've shifted, we've inherited, we've changed names. So quite a while ago, before we had statewide regional directors or deputy sector navigators, as some might remember, we were actually Advanced Transportation, Technology, and Energy. So we were ATTE centers. And then we were Advanced Transportation, Renewable Energy. So we were ATRE. And now we're AT&L. So we've inherited logistics from global trade. And so our sector is extremely large now. We have automotive, we have aviation, we have drones. And now with logistics, we have inherited supply chain, we dabble into e-commerce, different management systems, pretty much anything that rides on something to get somewhere, a boat, a plane, a truck, a train, we have something to do with that. And so occupations range from technicians, mechanics, flight attendants, to supply chain professionals, logisticians, of course, you know, your Amazons, your FedEx, all of the different occupations that fall in that, from package handling to planning routes, truck driving. The list really goes on. And I know one thing that a lot of my colleagues in LA, and I'm sure up and down the state, have really tried to work hard on, especially with the K12s, is just really trying to expose students to the wide array of options that exist in all of these sectors. You know, a lot of the times I was like, oh, I don't want to be a truck driver. It's like, well, there's lots of options. You think about these really big employers like LA Metro, for example, in LA County. You know, it's not just working on buses or driving buses. It's legal, it's finance, it's, you know, marketing and digital marketing and all of those kinds of things. So it's a broad sector. Pretty much anything you can think of can somehow fall within transportation and logistics. And of course, you know, alternative fuel energy, so hydrogen fuel cell, CNG, all of that stuff falls under. So it's a tall order to fill, but it's lots of fun.
Great. Thank you. So tell me, how are you different from the statewide directors? We heard from Terri, who's in life science, and you have a statewide director in transportation and logistics. So how are you different?
Well, we're different in the sense that our focus is much more regional. So I work very closely with my statewide director. I'm also fortunate that she's housed at the same college, so that makes my life very, very easy in lots of ways. I can tap into her directly if I have a question or want her opinion. But she really kind of helps us focus on kind of bigger picture changes and trends that are coming down the pipe for us that we should be focusing on. And then where I come in more regional, especially in LA County, because that's where I work, is to really implement those changes at a more regional scale. So I work directly with the employers in LA County and the community colleges to kind of help prepare for those changes. I think in pretty much all of these industry sectors that we have, technology is shifting rapidly. And besides that, the new world we're living in with COVID-19, there's lots of changes happening there at a very rapid pace. And so that kind of helps to give us a wider overview of things happening, and then we work on implementing at a regional level. So we work very much hand in hand, but their focus is much broader than what we are focused much more on the micro level.
And just to clarify, each of the regional consortia vote and select based on data those sectors that they plan to focus on. And so do you know how many regional directors there are in your sector?
In my sector, there are 4. We have one, and I have to count them off. I have to go through them. So we have someone in the Bay Area currently, Pamela Gutman. We have someone in the Inland Empire, Larry McLaughlin. We have Orange County, Jaime Gonzalez, and then we have Jonathan Kropp in San Diego, plus myself. So there's 5 of us up and down the state.
Great, thank you. The next question I have for you is to ask you to describe one project or activity that you are involved in serving the K12 Strong Workforce programs.
Absolutely. And I personally, I really enjoy working with the K12s. I think it's really, really important to build, I think of it in like sports, because I'm a big sports fan, especially baseball. And so I think of it as the minor leagues, right? If you want to have a strong workforce, you need to really start encouraging students to explore all these different options early. And when you have a strong presence in the K12s, that's going to translate to a strong presence in the community college programs and then into the workforce. So I'm a huge believer in working closely with the K12 partners that we have. And I've especially been involved in 2 strong workforce projects in LA County, specifically working with one of the local high schools, Artesia High School, and I worked with them on doing ASC certification, which is the industry standard for automotive, and they received funding to totally upscale and retrofit their automotive program. We also were able to get them dual enrolled, which was extremely exciting because at Cerritos College, that was the first CTE program that they had ever dual enrolled, was this Auto 100. And it was a long process, but it was extremely rewarding hearing the high school faculty talk about how his 0 period, he managed to get 25 high school juniors and seniors to show up at 6:30 voluntarily to take this Auto 100 dual enrolled class, and he said that was the best part of his day. Those were the best students he had all day, even because he also teaches at other colleges, even better than some of his college students for his 0 period. And seeing how excited those students were to continue and keep going, and it was just a really rewarding experience. I'm also helping another school district with this second round do something similar, but also to do some electric vehicle work. So in their strong workforce proposal, they wrote in a Switch Lab vehicle, which is an electric car that they build entirely from scratch. So they do the wiring, steering, suspension, brakes, everything. So they wrote that into their project, and I believe it got funded for this next round. So helping them with that is something that's really important for me. And I've also done some work with El Camino, helping them with some of their projects, but they've been doing fabulous work without me. I just come in and cheerlead them on. So it's been a really great experience, and I would highly, highly encourage, and some of my other colleagues in LA County regional directors also work very closely with the K12s. And we've seen those programs grow, and hopefully that'll help enrollment in our college programs as well. So it all goes hand in hand. And I see employers specifically approaching me wanting to do outreach to middle school. So even employers are starting to recognize that if they want to try to build the next generation of a workforce, they have to go even below high school level to try to encourage and share their career and occupation potential that's out there. So even the employers are recognizing the high value of starting early with exposure to different career pathways.
Great. Anything else you want to share?
No, I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll make sure to stay on a little while longer, and happy to always support Lyla's work. She helps a lot with her project in LA, so I'm grateful.
Thank you, Katie. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next slide. Okay, our last panel member today is from our Centers of Excellence, John Carrese. And John serves the San Francisco Bay Area Center of Excellence for Labor Market Research, and he's hosted at City College of San Francisco. And I asked John, because I knew he had done a lot of work with the Bay Area Regional Consortia, and have seen many reports that he's authored and was very impressed. So I'm pleased that he could join us today. I think he had another conference. Bless his heart, he stepped out. So John, I think I saw you come on. There you are. Thank you.
Can you hear me all right, Lyla?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, good. All right, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to participate in today's session. It's a virtual conference, so it's pretty easy to step out.
Oh, good.
Everything's virtual now.
I forget sometimes. I think it's wishful thinking to forget.
Right.
Great. So I asked John to describe the role that he plays related to strong workforce in the Bay Area.
Sure, yeah, so I am the director for the Bay Region Center of Excellence for Labor Market Research. My center is funded through the State Chancellor's Office, and our work plan is to provide labor market data and information to the 28 colleges in my region. And it's a big region, it's a 12-county region. And just so folks know, I'm one of 10 centers. So there are centers across the whole state in each of the major regions. And we all do similar work, and we actually work as a team very closely to support our colleges with labor market information. And then specifically, so much of the resources the colleges have had over the last few years is new funding for strong workforce program, program development with SWP dollars, and to create, as Vaughn, our old vice chancellor, used to say, or former vice chancellor used to say, more and better CTE. And so we work very closely with the colleges as they try to figure out which programs are in the highest priority in the region based on labor market demand, and get them that data. We're doing that all the time for them with our what we call our new program development process. It's called the program recommendation process. We provide reports to colleges to help them look at the demand side and the supply side and determine if there's a gap that needs to be filled, where there's not enough students coming out to meet the number of jobs that are open in our regional labor market. So that's ongoing work that we've been doing over the last 2 years.
Great. So what sources do you utilize when you project labor market information?
Sure. It's a challenge in a short period of time to try and do an overview of labor market data. There's so much about it, but I'll try and chunk it at a very high level. We look at two sides of an equation. I kind of just mentioned that. We look at the demand data, which would be occupational data or industry data about employment in our labor market, in the regional labor market. And we have access to over 800 data for 800 occupations or more from the State Employment Development Department. We use a specific software tool called EMSI. I'm not sure if folks are familiar with that, but it's just EMSI is a data set that allows us to query for any occupation or group of occupations we want to get data the number of current openings, a number of current employment, projected openings, the wages for those occupations. So that's a big data source for us, EMSI. Then we also have another data set on the demand side that's what we call job postings data. That tool that we use is just called Burning Glass. It's a vendor that we use. And that tool allows us to look at what employers are posting jobs in our regional labor market. And we can query that data set in all kinds of ways. We can look back and say, over the last 6 months, how many jobs have been posted for nurses, and from what employers and what skills are listed in those postings that the employers are looking for, et cetera. So a lot of that data goes into our reports. So that's on the demand side. If we can't get data from those sources I just said, we call those secondary sources, we might go to surveying employers directly. We would call that a primary data source, where we would ask questions of employers, try and get as many employers as we can respond, and ask those same questions: how many people are employed in that occupation or cluster of occupations, and all the other information we want to know. We tend to do that when there's emerging occupations. No data is available for them. So an example of that recently is we did a big workforce study on cybersecurity jobs, because there just wasn't enough data, good data, on cybersecurity employment and what skills employers are looking for. So that's on the demand side. Quickly on the supply side, that's data that we want to look at from our colleges, right? Colleges are supplying students into the labor market. They're preparing students for the job market. So we look at, I'll name 3 big sources we look at. Launchboard is a tool that you will learn about if you don't know about it already from the Chancellor's Office. That's a large data set of all of the data from our colleges across the state on programs of study, and all of the data related to students in those programs. IPED's data is integrated post-secondary education data system, I think. But IPED's data is the data you would get from all non-community college post-secondary training institutions. So we want to look at what our colleges are producing, what other post-secondary institutions in the region are producing, put that all together to give us a picture on the supply side. And then we also have a very good survey that we've developed over the last 6, 7, 8 years, I'm not sure how long, the CTE Employment Outcomes Survey, where we survey our CTE students and we ask them a number of questions to get data from them about how they've done in the job market once they've graduated or exited. And so that information is very important, because it tells us a lot about our students getting employed. Are they getting employed in the field of study? What wages are they getting, and so forth. So all of that data is supply side data. And then we put all of that together to create a picture for, is there enough, supply of data or students coming into the labor market to take the available jobs or not. So those are the data sources we use to kind of do our work.
Great, thank you. And I saw Rachel posted in the chat a link to the data that you referred to, the EMSI, whatever.
Oh, EMSI. Okay, great. And I just wanted to say, Lyla, quickly, our website, and if you could share this with people, or maybe I'll post it in the chat after I finish, the Center of Excellence website, where you can go and get lots of great data for your region or for work you're doing, is www.coeccc.net.
Yeah, it's on the slide right now. I have it posted under your name.
Oh, look at that. You were ahead of me. Good for you. I didn't even. All right. Great minds. Great. Okay. Thanks.
We try.
Yeah, very good.
So would you share, John, with us a project you participated in the Bay Area Regional Consortia to support program development in that area?
Yes, happy to do that. So you've met Julie, who's a regional chair in Inland Empire, and so my chair in the Bay Area is Rock Fognauer at Cabrillo College, and the director works very closely with Rock, is Kit O'Doherty. So Rock and Kit are a dynamic duo and have been doing this work for 10 years or more in the Bay region. And the regional consortia convene the colleges to work on kind of getting the portfolio. One of the major goals is to get the portfolio of CTE programs in the region kind of aligned with the labor market, and make sure that we're giving students, their mission is, as they say it on their website, is working to ensure the right number of programs in the right places, teaching the right skills towards the end of meeting industry's workforce needs and students' needs for meaningful living wage jobs. So that's kind of how that's the big mission of the consortium in the Bay Area as they define it. And Rock's a big fan and always is a big fan of the Centers of Excellence and data. And so we have collaborated using strong workforce program funds over the last few years. And one of the data projects we're about ready to launch is a SWP data dashboard that looks at the different metrics that we're tracking in that strong workforce program. And the project came about because Rock had this idea. If you go on a launch board, I'll just use accounting as an example, you can look at the outcomes for students in accounting programs in the Bay region, but only one college at a time. You could look at College 1, then separately have to look at College 2. His brainchild was to create a dashboard where you could look at all of the accounting programs, and probably out of the 28 colleges, 25 of them have accounting programs. It's a common program. You could look at the compare all 25 of those programs at one time on one screen for one metric. You've got all many of the SWP metrics, but if you just wanted to see how are students doing in terms of employment across all of our accounting programs in the Bay region, you can do that. The dashboard allows you to do that. So at a glance, look at all 25 programs, how are they doing, kind of in rank order for that metric. And what we hope that does is give our colleges kind of more deeper and more specific data about our program portfolio, how our programs are doing in the region. And that would hopefully, we want to do that to launch the kind of deeper conversations, better conversations in our region about the mix of programs, how our programs are performing, are they serving our students well, and also so we can learn from each other, so that a college that's maybe not achieving great student outcomes for any of these metrics can learn from a college that is a high achieving college in terms of providing great employment outcomes and great wage gains and great, completion rates for students in the program. And that tool, that dashboard, will allow you to look at any of the top codes or programs of study for all of the CTE programs in the region. So we're very excited about it. It's, all credit to Rock, and he's always looking for new and better ways to look at data to share with our colleges. So it's been fun to work on that with him.
Great. Well, thank you so much, John. Anything else you wanted to share?
No, just check out our website. You have a regional director in your region, wherever you are. These are folks from across the state, I assume, right? Yeah. So check out and on our website, when you go there, there's a button on the homepage that says Contact Us. If you click on that in the upper right-hand corner, you will see where all of the directors are. We're all hosted at one of the colleges in our region, and you can get our contact information, and I encourage you to contact your Center of Excellence director in your region for the data that you're looking for to help you do your job.
Great. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
So, I'm going to ask you all to unmute yourselves. Everybody unmute. I want to try this.
Dangerous, Lyla. That's dangerous.
I know. Everybody unmute. And I'm going to ask you all to join me in giving an applause to thank our panel members.
Woo!
Thank you, panel members.
Thank you, panel members.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They are truly gems that we have hidden in the Chancellor's office. And I think, my goal was to help you to understand the resources that are available. Sometimes it appears it's us against them, and that's not the case between K-12 and the community college. I know my colleagues and I, we value the K-12 folks. I have ever since I went to work in the community college system. You're the pipeline. We can spend millions of dollars on marketing, but if I build good relationships with my local school districts, I don't need to do that. Their students will come to me, and it's about building relationships and building teams. So I hope you found this to be helpful, and that truly you will each look at what resources you have in your own region, and that K-4 TAP, the challenge to you is hopefully that you will know who are the key talent housed at the regional consortia, working through the regional consortia. So when folks ask you a question, you don't have to know the answer. You'll just refer them to somebody else who can do their work. So let me pause a moment. We have just a couple minutes left. Rachel, are you there? Are there other pressing questions?
I don't see on the chat, although my Wi-Fi was unstable, so I might have missed a few.
We do want to encourage everybody to respond to the evaluations. The links are in chat. This will be a great way for us to capture reactions to this morning's conversations, as well as an opportunity for you to identify additional needs so we can build out future professional learning for you all.
Right. And I am asking Melissa to send me issues, questions that you're putting in the chat. And I'm seeing that some of those from yesterday we're going to answer tomorrow. So I'm going to wait until tomorrow. And at the very end, if there's still some unresolved questions, I will go back and try to answer those to the best of my ability. So that completes this morning's webinar. Thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you at 1 o'clock. And Raylyn and Tara will present how to develop a CTE local plan, as well as how to then tap into funding to implement your plan. So thank you all. Enjoy your lunch.